Hello and welcome to Esther's Gardening Adventures. I'm Esther and today is the first day of October, which honestly is my favorite month of the year. Not only do I love spooky things, but also I love how things are starting to cool off, how it's time to, yes, clear the garden for things to rest, but also plant things for next year like flower bulbs and garlic and things like that, hardneck garlic. And I've spent like the last 2 weeks going through the garden and harvesting some of the last crops of the garden for this season, for this year. And that includes peppers. With pepper plants, you may know this already, but the first crop of peppers you harvest from the plants, it's going to be a few, and then the plants kind of double their production the second time, and by the third time you have even more. And so I've had a pretty decent harvest of peppers this year, especially in the last week. And now I've started the process of processing them, figuring out what to do with them. So I'm going to show you what I've harvested and sort of some of the things I've started doing to use them up or preserve them for use over the winter and spring for next year. And then we're going to pick some edamame and eat those. And I just hope you're having a great beginning of your fall. And I look forward to starting to plan next year's garden, which soon I'm going to do a video on. All right, let's get to it. So edamame are basically soybeans in the pod that you boil, and then you pop the pod in your mouth, then you eat them, and they're so yummy. And when you go to harvest them, you will see that the pods need to be slightly firm, and you need to have sort of clearly distinguished beans inside of them. They'll kind of look a little bit hairy, but that it doesn't taste hairy. You don't feel it after you boil them. It just kind of looks funny when you harvest them. Edamame, they grow in clumps along the stem, pretty much close to the bottom, and basically where you have the first set of leaves and up. And you'll probably get maybe 3 to 4 per clump. So you'll probably get like at least a dozen edamame per plant to maybe like up to 20 per plant. I haven't done an exact count. That's sort of an estimate. These little red flowers interspersed throughout here are not part of the plant. These are actually celosia or coxcomb flower seeds that fell on the ground and volunteered along with the weeds and other things growing with the edamame. But as you can see, the edamame plants are doing pretty good. So you want to boil your edamame for probably 3 to 6 minutes. These edamame, I had to wait about a week and a half to eat them because I had a work trip right after harvesting them. I rinsed them a couple times before I put them in the water just because there was a little bit of dirt from harvesting them on them. But they still tasted just fine despite those spots. And then also you want to taste test 1 or 2 of them before you pull all of them out, just to see if they pop out easily and if the beans are slightly softened. Then you want to drain them and sprinkle them with some coarse salt and serve. Oh, this is one of my favorite things to get when I go to Japanese restaurants, and I love being able to have it at home from fresh. Okay, now let's turn to my sweet and hot pepper harvest, the last one of the season. Probably still get a few more from the garden. But let's start off with the poblano peppers, banana peppers, and sweet peppers, what I'm doing with them. One of the things I'm doing with the peppers is I love banana peppers, and I love pickled banana peppers. So I took all those banana peppers, just a small jar, and I made just your basic brine recipe, which is 2 parts vinegar, 1 to 1 part water, plus some black peppercorns. You can probably see, you can see some there, black peppercorns, plus mustard seed, plus salt and a tiny bit of sugar. And I think I'm forgetting something else. I think that's most of it. I might have forgotten something else, but that's most of it. Oh, and some garlic, which is from the garden. And oh, this is so delicious. Next year, I'm going to grow so much more banana peppers because I want to make these and just eat them all summer long and winter long. So this is just a refrigerator. This is not water bath treated, so I just have like the leak-proof jar on top. And then another thing I'm doing is I have here, yesterday I cooked but didn't have time to freeze a bunch of poblano peppers, so I roasted them over the stove. They look all kinds of functified. But I can freeze them, and then when I go to use them, the skin will actually just come off, and you'll just have the meat as part of the meaty flesh as part of it. So I've never done this before, but I love poblano peppers, and I love eating them, especially like I'll do like a saute with mushrooms, poblano peppers, and chicken and over rice, and it just is so delicious. So I'm gonna put this in the freezer flat to freeze entirely. And looks like the skin's already coming off a little bit. To freeze entirely, and then I can put it in a sealed, labeled, I only have gallon-sized freezer bags, so I need to get smaller ones, but I can put it in a freezer bag. I'll probably eat these in the next month or so, maybe even sooner. So that's another way to sort of preserve your peppers. And you can do this with just about any pepper. You can roast it or just chop it up and freeze it, in addition to pickling things. So let's get this in the freezer now. So for example, here's another thing I freeze. Any excess bell peppers or sweet peppers like Jimmy Nardello peppers, or even like the purple bell peppers, I will freeze. And then I can just reach my hand in and toss it in the pan and have something easy to cook and already prepared. And it just tastes so much better and holds up better too than the store-bought ones. As for my jalapeno and nardello, which are heatless jalapenos, I pickled them today. So it's just a basic 2-for-1 vinegar to water plus garlic and salt and a little bit of sugar or brine. And then with my Thunder Mountain peppers, I dehydrated them. I'm going to make a crushed pepper flake seasoning, which is how these peppers are usually eaten. So here I am setting up the dehydrator. I also dehydrated a number of my lemon drop hot peppers, these beautiful little yellow peppers. I just basically, I either dice them or I cut them lengthwise in half. And then I put them in the dehydrator. And then I think I dehydrated them about 125 degrees for about 8 hours. They ended up needing about another 2 hours the next day because there's so much moisture in the air that once they cool down, sometimes they need a second little bit of dehydration. I also dehydrated some jalapenos that I figure I can use in sauces in the future, like chilies and things like that. And then I have heard horror stories told of dehydrating things indoors and what it does to the air. So I dehydrated the peppers outside. I plugged them into a outdoor wall socket next to my front porch and dehydrated them there. So the majority of the heat from the peppers actually went in there. Outdoor air. And then I keep the dried peppers right on my shelf, sort of near my backup spices, so that I can get to them easy. So this is what they looked like after they're dehydrated. I put some preservation moisture packets in them as well to help make sure, because it's so humid here in Maryland Zone 7A that it's kind of hard to keep them from getting moist again. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed it, and make sure you have the bell set, the alarm set, so you get alerts when I post new content. And otherwise, I'll see you next time.